While there have been many different stories throughout the first few days of Donald Trump's awful second administration, there have been some overarching themes that have stayed pretty consistent no matter what is happening. Of course, the biggest of them all is Donald Trump's billionaire buddies, and if we hone in on the most specific one, it's Elon Musk. Now, Elon Musk is the perfect example of what Donald Trump's administration is all about, is taking money from working class people and putting it in the pockets of billionaires, acting in the most corrupt ways possible, literally being inside the White House. But it's not all honey and roses in Donald Trump and Elon's relationship. Actually, Donald Trump just made a mockery of Elon Musk and kind of nuked one of his plans and what was a strange thing to go public with, a weird takedown of Musk. And we are going to get into that because when it's a bad day for Elon, it's a good day for us. But before we do, if I can quickly ask you to leave a like on this video, and if you haven't already, you enjoy our channel, to hit that subscribe button. It goes a long way, and it really means the world to me. Now, before we get into what Donald Trump had to say about Elon, kind of like a shocking announcement, maybe just kind of admission, let it slip, I want to hear what Chris Hayes had to say about the billionaires surrounding Donald Trump, because it connects to the story in an important way.
I've been working on for the last few years centers around the idea that what we pay attention to at any given moment is really the substance of life. It's just about the most precious resource we have. When it is aggregated and pooled at scale over billions of users worldwide, it becomes a treasured commodity both for corporations and for politicians. And the mechanisms they now deploy with increasing sophistication, using our own biological wiring to compel our attention like the sirens tried to lure Odysseus, has created this signature feeling of alienation that I think is the pervasive mood of our times. A feeling that something should be within us and under our control is now outside of us and in someone else's control. All of this, I think, actually has really big implications for covering this Trump administration. I know there's lots of viewers and folks who are tired of paying attention to Donald Trump. I, having done it for 10 years, am one of them. But one of the most important lessons I've come to in writing the book is this, that in a distracted age, focus, its converse, focus is power. Focus is power. Having an inability to focus is giving away power. And that's easier said than done. It is something that, honest to God, we wrestle with every day, and we've been wrestling with for years, especially with Trump. Here's an example. I think right now it's safe to say there are things he wants people to pay attention to. For instance, the ICE raids that he is sending TV's Dr. Phil on ride-alongs with. And there are things that he does not really want people to pay attention to. For example, firing most of the government's inspectors general, top federal watchdogs, in the middle of a Friday night. No Dr. Phil ride-along. The fact of the matter is, as improbable and maddening as Trump's particular political success has been for so many reasons, he isn't omnipotent. He's not a colossus. The politics that he embodies, this obsession with attention, also comes with huge vulnerabilities. Because he's so obsessed with attention, because he's willing to attract a lot of negative attention and outrage and controversy and blowback, don't forget for a second that tens of millions of people find all of it utterly off-putting. He won the first time through an electoral college hat trick while losing the popular vote by millions. The second time he lost, even though he was the incumbent, and incumbents around the world were doing well during COVID. The last time he won, a fairly narrow victory. But he entered this term with lower approval than almost any other new president in recent memory. The popularity of this form of domination is not a given. It's defeatable. But it does require us to be aware and intentional about where we put our attention. And that's my job with this show, all of our jobs in this era is to work to maintain focus and to keep focus on things that matter and to stay with them. And my promise to you is that that's the role we are going to try to play as we go through this chaotic maelstrom, in which he and his big tech oligarchs are attempting this omnipresent assault on our attentional faculties in public life and in every other moment in between.
Now, I wanted to start with what Chris Hayes had to say, and I really do look forward to reading his book, because we have talked extensively about who Donald Trump is surrounding himself with. Of course, it is the most unqualified people. You see, he's always talking about DEI, but he's got DUI, Pete Hegseth, in his cabinet. It's much more of a DEI cabinet than anyone we've ever seen before, wholly unqualified people, but that's over there. Donald Trump on this side is surrounding himself with billionaires, CEOs, but of information platforms very specifically, because Donald Trump is all about controlling the information, muddying the waters, distracting the press, flooding the zone, as Steve Bannon would like to say, and it's why Elon is so important to him with the control he has over Twitter. But Elon has made a really interesting action lately when we're looking at this control of information, the shaping of narratives, that I think has really distracted in his favor, although it has really hurt him. And that is when he made his Nazi salute. It is all anyone talked about for days, which they should. It was disgusting, it was disgraceful, it was evil, it was gross, but it kind of separated our attention from what we really should be focusing on more than anything, which is Elon's corruption. Now, I'm not saying it's wrong that we had such extensive conversations about that we called him out. This is something that broke through. It's good. But we were talking about that instead of the corruption, which is exactly what Elon wants. He wants us distracted. But there's one thing that apparently Donald Trump isn't going to get distracted by, and it's making sure that he doesn't let Elon's ego get too big. And it's why he said this right here.
That will be very good.
Mr. President, there's reports that Elon Musk now must go through Susie Wiles and that he doesn't have an office in the West Wing. I'm curious how you feel about that.
It's not Elon's office. We have an office that's set up for purposes of when I do an executive order, that the order is carried out, not that it sits around for 3 months. And we'll have about 20 people, maybe more, working out of that office. It's really an office for a lot of people that go and make sure that the executive office, when I do an executive document, very important executive, I want to make sure that that is done. And there's about 20 or 25 people that will be working out of that office. And it's really a go-get-em office to make sure it gets done. That's what that is.
So you're a week in now to your president.
There have been some kind of subtle jabs lately, and it's such an interesting and unfortunate dynamic between these two, with Donald Trump and Elon Musk, who's trying to assert power over who. You know, we've seen that clip of Elon saying that he can't be the official president. Now Donald Trump saying that, no, Elon doesn't get an office. That's not happening. There's an office, but the office is about me. It's about me. Me. It's just a loop going through Donald Trump's head all the time. Donald, me, Trump, me. Sounds terrible. I don't want to hear that anymore. I can't believe we have to do 4 more years of this. But that's kind of the dynamic at play with them. But again, let's come back to the information part of it. That is what Elon is so concerned with. That is what Donald Trump is so concerned with. These ridiculous executive orders talking about Canada, Panama, the Gulf of America. Any nonsense like that is to distract from the clear corruption, promises broken, and just outright betrayal of Donald Trump's base. That is what he wants people focused on. He does not want them focused on Elon's corruption and him taking your bucks and adding them to his billions, because that's what he's about. And someone who I think put together a really succinct calling of that out was Tim Miller in a clip I want to check out here.
Yeah, we'll start with one area of agreement, actually, that I have with you and Clay, which is different for me lately, which is I agree that it is, I don't think, a good strategy. The fact that you guys are talking about it shows that it's not a great strategy. If they were doing some very effective messaging, I kind of think that Clay would probably be ignoring it. So I agree. I think Elon's kind of a weird guy that was doing kind of an awkward gesture. I think we can all admit it was kind of awkward, but he does a lot of kind of awkward things. If I was the Democrats, here's what I'd be focused on when it comes to Elon Musk. This man is the largest government contractor, the largest recipient of government money. He was the largest donor to Donald Trump's campaign. He is the owner of a communications platform, and he will have an office inside the White House. I mean, there was mass outrage on the right about the fact that some people in the Biden administration were emailing Facebook and Twitter people recommending the content be taken down. I don't think that was very smart. I think that was bad policy by the Biden administration. But it was kind of mid-level bureaucratic stuff. I don't think it was really limiting people's free speech all that much. Now, I don't understand how you could be upset about that, but then be okay about the owner of a communications platform having an office in the White House, having a security clearance. and being able to put the thumb on the scale of his algorithm to promote what is happening out of this administration. I mean, we can all agree, if you just go on the Twitter or the X For You page, it's like Elon Musk propaganda central. So now we have an officer of the American government controlling a communications platform. I would think that people who are concerned about speech and free and open dialogue in this country would be astonished by that. In addition to the potential corruption, if you're an Elon competitor, what must you be thinking right now if you're a competitor of SpaceX or competitor of Tesla, which receive billions of dollars for the government, and the owner of that company is now going to have control over a government efficiency program where he gets to choose where money goes? The corruption here is astonishing. It'd be like if George Soros had an office off of the West Wing when Joe Biden was president. It's insane. So if I was the Democrats, I'd be focused on that level of corruption and not his awkward hand gesture.
Well, it all comes down to the information, the narratives, and what is being talked about. What we choose to cover is almost as important as how we cover it. And if we get distracted by the horrible things that Donald Trump does, and sometimes they are okay to talk about. I am not saying that we shouldn't point out that calling it the Gulf of America is completely ridiculous. Let's do that. But let's keep it a part of a message about how Donald Trump's priority is to rename bodies of water instead of making your groceries cheaper, your water bill cheaper. That's what Donald Trump is focused on. Pete Hegseth, the least qualified cabinet member in history, is focused on stripping stars from Mark Milley instead of protecting our country. Yeah, he's focused on fashion and not national defense. That should scare us. That is the message that we have to deliver, and we're gonna on the show every single day. If you want to support that, as always, you can hit that subscribe button. You can leave a like on this video, and if you stuck around to the end, you can drop a blue heart in the comments. And until next time, I'll see you soon.